Texas is growing, and that's putting a strain on the state's water supply. Last year, Texas voters approved a proposition to create a fund to help finance projects to meet the growing demand for water. But some leaders are sounding the alarm and calling on the state to do more to avoid a water crisis. Our Ryan Chandler takes a closer look at the needs and the response.
Out here in Wimberley, Texas, this barren creek exemplifies the existential threat facing Texas. Ideally full and flowing, what is left of this creek bed has given way to its own plants, trying to survive on what little water they can find. The flood gauges and high water warnings, signs of the past. Wimberley creeks are bone dry. This area has been in drought for most of the last 2 years, implementing strict water limits and penalizing automatic sprinkler use. Out in West Texas, the problem is far worse.
Texas is out of water.
Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller is stressing this emergency.
We can't grow, we can't expand, we can't have economic opportunity and jobs without water. And we reached our limit. There is no more. So we've got to do some things different.
In Austin Tuesday, lawmakers consider how. The first need is conserving the water we already have. That means hard infrastructure upgrades. Leaky pipes waste more than 130 billion gallons of water every year, like this busted water line in Austin Monday. Another problem, fracking. Using clean water to frack wastes and pollutes. Companies are switching to brackish water instead.
We've got a lot to do. We just got to get busy and help ourselves.
Last year, voters approved the Texas Water Fund, setting aside $1 billion for projects across the state. But that's just a drop in the bucket. Now, whatever policy path may be ahead of us, lawmakers caution that this is going to be very expensive, billions of dollars across decades of investment. But the question for the people of Wimberley and across the state is, what is the cost of doing nothing? In Wimberley, I'm Ryan Chandler.
Joining us now for Insight is Jeremy Mazer, the Director of Infrastructure and Natural Resources Policy for Texas 2036. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So lawmakers seem to talk about water every session. You testified at last week's House hearing on water policy. What's your main message and what needs to happen now?
We have two big water infrastructure challenges in the state. First, we need to expand our water supply portfolio for a drought-prone and growing state. The second challenge is that we have this growing problem associated with aging, deteriorating drinking water and wastewater systems that are fast becoming liabilities to the communities that they serve.
Texas voters approved the plan to put $1 billion toward water projects in the state. You say that's nowhere near enough. What are the critical needs and how much would it cost us to meet them?
At Texas 2036, we estimate that the state of Texas will need to invest a minimum of $154 billion in the coming decades on our water supply needs and fixing our aging, deteriorating systems. The $1 billion that lawmakers and state voters approved last session was a great first step. They took steps to expand our state's financial strategy for addressing our water infrastructure challenges, but the long-term price tag is $154 billion, and that $1 billion combined with other state and federal funding efforts aren't going to go far enough to what we need to do to fix the problem.
So the next session is just a few months away. What will Texas 2036 actually be working toward when lawmakers return to Austin?
We estimate that the state's long-term funding gap for water infrastructure, the amount of money we need to spend on developing water supplies and fixing our aging, deteriorating systems, is in excess of about $110 billion in the coming decades. We can close this gap, and we think the right solution is to follow the financial model that we already use for state parks and highways, which is to have a dedicated, focused revenue stream towards our Texas water funds that can be used to finance and build the water infrastructure and supplies that we need.
All right, Jeremy Mazer from Texas 2036, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Congress votes to avoid a government shutdown, but not everyone is happy.
What are we doing? I mean, it's absurd. We irresponsibly continue to spend money that we do not have.
The temporary fix and the funding fight looming on Capitol Hill.